Well, after a pretty dramatic and you may even say decisive first leg in EFL Championship playoff semi-finals, we are back to preview and predict the second legs taking place on Monday and Tuesday. Firstly, apologies, we're in a different setting to normal, but hopefully we'll still be able to get our preview out. And for those of you who didn't watch the first legs, where have you been? There were two very dramatic away performances and some late drama in those games as well. We're going to look ahead to both of the second leg semi-finals. Will there be miracles on the road for the teams that finish 5th and 6th? Well, whether you think so or not, get your predictions down in the comments below. And if you beat or match our overall score, you'll get a shout out when we return to look ahead to the Championship playoff final. In the meantime, we have got our League 1, League 2 and National League playoff predictions. They're all up in the eye above and coming over the next couple of weeks. But for now, before we go and look ahead to the second legs in a couple of days' time, let's have a look back at the first legs, which took place on Thursday and Friday. And unfortunately, no points for me. We asked if Bristol City would regret playing Sheffield United and finishing 6th rather than 5th. Boy, they did, didn't they? A 3-0 defeat for them. And then unfortunately, Coventry, that late error from Milan Van Ervik, gave Sunderland a 2-1 away win in the first leg as they returned to form as well. So no points for me as I'd predicted a draw and then a home win. And nobody in the comments got two perfect scores. Josh, the Bristol City fan, is the winner of the match week because he predicted a 3-0 defeat for his team, Bristol City. And then 5 other people got 1 point, all for victories for Sheffield United, apart from Dave, who went for a Sunderland win. Bobby, Mick, Marco and Mello all got a point for Sheffield United. So it's fair to say, as we move on to the second legs, that, well, 3rd and 4th are the front runners for this one. They're certainly the teams in the ascendancy. And given the records of the 4 teams this year, both the 2 home teams for the second leg at home, and more importantly, for the 2 away sides on the road in the second leg, it does look like it might be job done in both ties. Let's go and look ahead to the first one on Monday night. Certainly the most convincing win of the lot. It is Sheffield United versus Bristol City, and the hosts, the Blades, have a 3-0 lead after that very decisive first leg performance. Of course, the game did change on that late red card in the first half. I was actually watching the game without commentary at the time, so I didn't realise that the commentators had made it as this controversy, which I don't really understand. He didn't go for the ball. He pulled his man down, no intent to get the ball at all. It's still a red card. The triple jeopardy rule doesn't apply. So a poor decision in that moment from the defender. The way Max O'Leary was playing, he might well have saved it. And then to be fair, he didn't really need to get involved either, because even at 1 down, if you've got 11 men on the pitch, you've got more of a chance. So poor decision making, but it's been a poor 2 weeks for Bristol City. I said it against Luton a few weeks ago. Obviously, we've gone down since, but they're probably the only team I've seen us beat comfortably all season, which is a real alarm bell. Then they let in 4 at Leeds, then 2 at home to Preston, which ultimately cost them 5th place and led them to playing Sheffield United, who are by far the strongest team in the playoffs on paper. Obviously, we're in the Premier League last year, and actually finished further away from Bristol City than Luton Town did in the relegation zone. So I think we get an indicator of why they struggled, but the performance defensively was still poor. Even prior to conceding the penalty in the first goal with the red card, they were getting outplayed for the most part. They were giving away chances on the counter. It really surprised me with both Bristol City and Coventry how open they were, because you saw their away form this season, both of them 12th and 14th in their away table in a championship this year, 10 wins between them in 46 matches. You thought for any chance of those two to get through, they've got to be tight at home and get a result. Maybe they took it too far the other way and thought they had to get a win and a victory in the home leg. But for Bristol City, so open to the counter-attack. Sheffield United went direct, a very good game plan. 2 very similar game plans, to be honest, by the away managers. But obviously in the second half, after playing against 10, Sheffield United were able to dominate. And in the end, to be honest, the only surprise is that it wasn't more than 3-0 because they dominated the second half. I think officially had 5 clear-cut chances, missed 2 or 3 great opportunities. And in the end, those 2 extra late goals, well, it would have been better as a contest if Bristol City had hung on for 1. There's no debating that Sheffield United deserved it, and it did not flatter them at all. So they returned to form in pretty good style. Bristol City have been woeful for a couple of weeks. And I know a few of you in the comments mentioned Sheffield United have invested in January. They've backed their manager. Bristol City didn't. They've had injuries. They've had fatigue. And they're playing a season beyond what they used to because they're normally mid-table galore. So there is some sympathy there. A shout out for Max O'Leary in goal, who did really well overall. But for this game, there's no chance of a turnaround. The only question is, from a scoreline point of view, if Sheffield United are really comfortable with an hour gone, say they're a goal up, say they're 2 goals up, do they take a couple of the stars off for Wembley and rest them? Which would be a luxurious position to be in. I guess with nearly 2 weeks between the games, they don't need to worry. But from an injury point of view, if you can avoid one of those stars getting a knock or something, I'm sure they'll probably take it. So I'm not going to go for as convincing a win for Sheffield United. And to be fair, they've not often produced brilliant displays this season. Bristol City surely play for pride now, try and keep it a little bit tighter. I mean, they're going to concede at least 2 based on what we've seen in recent weeks. I'm going to go for Sheffield United. Do I go 2-0 or 2-1? Sheffield United are very good defensively. I'm going to go for 2-0. 5-0 on aggregate for Sheffield United with a 2-0 win at Bramall Lane. Then let's move on to the second game on Tuesday night, where again, the home side and the higher placed team hold the advantage. Not quite as convincing this one, but certainly as dramatic as Sunderland host Coventry City. Sunderland with a 2-1 win in the first leg. Thanks to that, well, you have to say late gift. You've got to feel for Van Herwijk. He's been a good player for Coventry for a few years now, but that was a really crucial moment. And it's just the one time you don't want something like that to happen. Unfortunately, cost them the game. But we've got to talk more generally about the match, because Sunderland were back to their sort of rugged best defensively. It's the hallmark of what we'd seen from a lot of their good home and away performances earlier in the year, giving up possession and being a real menacing threat on a counter. Now, we did sort of say the game was going to pan out like that, but based on recent weeks, we didn't expect Sunderland to be as robust defensively still, and we certainly didn't expect Coventry to be so open, knowing that Sunderland's key threat is the counter-attack. It was a bizarre setup from Frank Lampard, and I feel tactically really exposed in that game, because Sunderland could have scored more. Every time they were on the counter, they ended up in a 2-on-2 or a 3-on-3. And it just really concerned me how easy it was to get in. And it was very similar, the mistakes made by both of the sides at home on Thursday and Friday night. For Sunderland, they took the win in the end. They probably just about edged it, but you say that, a late challenge from Joe Bellingham, which was absolutely crucial in the box to stop Haji Wright getting a potential equaliser. Thought Patterson was rather solid in goal. He's taken some criticism at times this year. And at the other end, the same goalkeeping problems for Coventry, seemingly, no matter who's in the net at the moment. So, a real worry for me for Coventry. We talked about their home form being the most important this year. They're not the best on the road. Sunderland's attacking threat, I think they can almost play the same way. And this is why it was so important Coventry got the lead. Because if Coventry had been a goal up and come to Sunderland and put 10 behind the ball, it's the sort of team that Sunderland really struggled to break down. We've seen that in plenty of recent home games, Blackburn, QPR, etc. However, with that lead now, Sunderland can play like the away side. They can just sit back, allow Coventry to have possession and say, if you commit men forward, which you've got to get the lead in this tie, we're just going to hit you on the counter. And I think the fact that Sunderland have got an advantage now plays right into their hands. We know it's going to be a nervy night because Sunderland never do things the easy way in the playoffs. And we know Coventry are going to have a go at some point. And to be fair, Frank Lampard is normally willing to do that. But I just feel they'll get exposed on the counter when they do. I can see this being a pretty entertaining game. I could still see Coventry causing a bit of a scare if they get the first goal of the tie. But overall, I just think in this situation, Sunderland will be too strong. I think ultimately we might see a very similar game. Coventry to dominate possession. If they don't score, then to be frustrated on the counter-attack. And you know what? I'm going to go for the same score in the second leg as the first. Regis Lebris deserves credit. Got the game plan spot on in the first leg. And to be fair, we all criticised him for what he did in the final weeks of the season. But he got his team to turn up when it mattered. Some titanic defensive performances. We know that they're better at the back than they were last year. And against Coventry, I think they'll expose their defence. I'm going to go for Sunderland to win again by 2-1 in the second leg, which will send them to Wembley with a 4-2 aggregate win and set up a blockbuster clash between third and fourth in the Wembley final. So with that out of the way, let's have a quick recap of what I've gone for. I've gone for Sunderland to win by 2-1 to back up their late first leg win away at Coventry. And I've gone for Sheffield United to complete the job in style against Bristol City with a 5-0 aggregate win thanks to a 2-0 second leg performance. Do you agree or disagree? Do you think there'll be any surprises? Let us know in the comments below. Give us your predictions for the playoff semi-final second legs. And if you beat or match my overall score, you'll get a shout out before the final, and we turn back to preview that in a week or so's time. There will likely be some manager specials later in the month as well, and of course we will be here to preview the National League semi-finals and final, as well as all 3 EFL playoff finals over the bank holiday weekend. There's also action from non-league finals day tomorrow, where I'll be at Wembley looking at the 2 matches in the FA Vase and FA Trophy. So make sure you subscribe, turn that notification bell on to make sure you don't miss any of the action. And we will return in about 10 days' time when it comes to the Championship to look ahead to one hell of a playoff final. But will it, as we've predicted, and as many will expect now, be Sheffield United v Sunderland? I'll see you there to find out.